1st of December, 1981, Inex Adria Aviopromet operates charter flight 1308 from Ljubljana to Ajaccio. In early morning hours, fully loaded MD-80 departs Ljubljana Airport. 1 hour later, crew makes a fatal descent into terrain area southeast of the destination airport. What follows is the first and the most fatal accident involving MD-80 aircraft. This reconstruction is based on real sequence of events that happened on that flight. Cockpit conversations are reflecting the actual communication in between pilots, as recorded by cockpit voice recorder. Entering service in early 80s, Super 80 became leading workhorse of Inex Adria Aviopromet for almost 20 years to follow. Its predecessor, Douglas DC-9, left a great mark, and Super 80 hadn't really had much of a hard work to keep the faith and pride of the lovely T-tails. But beyond all the great memories, this bird was also part of the tragical side of the story. After not so brilliant safety record of the company at the time, following the two major accidents of Douglas DC-9s, Inex Adria Aviopromet lost its third aircraft in 1981. Ljubljana Airport, 1st of December 1981. 6:55 local time. Flight Adria 1308 is operated by a brand new MD-80 registered as Ljubljana. Aircraft entered service in summer of the same year. It has accumulated 680 hours to the date, and there were no reports of technical issues. Captain of the flight was Ivan Kunovic, 57 years old, experienced pilot from Zagreb with over 12,000 flying hours, 5,600 of them on type. He became captain at Inex Adria in 1972. Not long before crash, he was part of expedition of company pilots to United States for additional type training course. Pilot in command was experienced pilot Franz Terglav, 40 years old, first officer who logged over 4,200 flying hours, 740 of them on type. DC-980 variant was new type in the Douglas family at the time. It had a reputation of new, highly sophisticated aircraft compared to its predecessors. Both pilots logged less than 300 hours on that variant. Shortly after 7 a.m., after initial preparation of the aircraft, 173 passengers begun boarding. Among them was also 11 years old son of first officer, Tomasz Terglav. Beyond two pilots, there were 4 flight attendants and 1 mechanic on board, altogether, 180 people.
In Corsica, it always is on this island that offers you Mediterranean sunshine all the year round.
Lovely island in Mediterranean Sea, southeast of French coast, has been attracting tourists since the middle of previous century. Its regional capital Ajaccio was one of most beloved places when visiting the island. What could be better for a one-day trip?
Fish have a lot to do with holiday happiness, whether you catch them or eat them or just appreciate them.
Campo del Oro Airport. Located at the coastline, east of Ajaccio, due to terrain surrounding the area, airport has been since always deemed as a higher difficulty category aerodrome. Mostly sunny local weather is occasionally turned into cloudy and hazy, especially in case of northwesterly winds which tend to push local warm humid air mass into hilly areas in the middle of the island. Ljubljana Brnik Airport. Ljubljana is filling up with passengers. Pilot flying, Terglav, and pilot monitoring, Kunovic, are preparing Super 80 for departure.
Tu vidite svoje završenje na starobordu, kapetan Ivanović, da li ste možda spremni za završenje?
Može, spremno, govoriti.
Prvo očekivamo 10.000, onda nastavljamo 340, pa vam cilju ste vizice.
Adria 1308 is ready to go. crew gets startup clearance just a bit before 7:30. "180 souls on board, excited about the gracious day ahead of them."
Dolgozol ez a Politáni Vétel 1308.
7:34, aircraft is lined up on runway 13. Officer Terglav rolls Ljubljana for takeoff.
That's 100 knots. V1, rotate. Lost the point. Get up.
Aircraft with 173 passengers and 7 crew members leaves Ljubljana for one last time. Jepson chart for Campo del Oro Airport, active on a day of flight. Procedure instructs pilots to initially overfly Ajaccio VOR and enter holding pattern thereafter. With inbound radial of 247 degrees and left turn in pattern, aircraft arriving from northeast direction shall execute direct entry. Adria 1308 has reached cruise level and is flying southwest bound under Roma radar, aerial control in Italy. Captain Kunovic checks weather for Ajaccio. Pilots are aware of local northwestern winds which might force them into circle to land procedure for the opposite runway. Circle to land is non-precision approach, based mainly on visual reference. If local winds are too strong, pilots occasionally have to perform this kind of approach to prevent landing with tailwind. Crew begins descent towards Corsica. At this point, Terglav's 11-year-old son, Tomasz, is already in the cockpit. This is evident from CVR transcript. Tomasz was seating on the jump seat and Kunovic occasionally spoke few words with him. They were mostly joking. Based on conversation, mood is relaxed.
Adria 1308, contact Ajaccio approach 121.5.
115, merci, bonjour.
Ljubljana is leaving Marseille control and entering Ajaccio airspace.
Bonjour, Ajaccio, Adria, Juliet Papa 1308, Adria Airways, level 110, approaching Ajaccio, further descent.
Juliet Papa 1308, Ajaccio approach, good morning. Number 1 in approach, you maintain flight level 110 until you reach Alpha Julio Oscar VOR. It will be for a procedure from VOR. QNH 1009, QF 1008, surface wind is 280 for 20 knots, runway 21 in use, you report, over Alpha Juliet Oscar VOR and then descending over Alpha Juliet Oscar VOR.
Working service maintaining 110 until Ajaccio VOR in holding pattern and will have to descend minimum 110. Runway 21 use.
Crew reports position and acknowledges procedure. They are flying in direction of Ajaccio VOR, where they will start descend from flight level 110.
Okay, so we are just over Ajaccio VOR and we request for descent.
1308, you are cleared to descent 3000 and QNH 1009, on the radial 247 Alpha Juliet Oscar, you report leaving Ajaccio.
Roger, we are leaving 11 for 3000, radial 247 out of 110, QNH repeat again 1009.
Et confirm QNH 1009.
Da, devi rimanere in airport over Ajaccio, calling ground on radial 247.
Roger.
Znači idemo ovako, imam da skretanje za finalni kurs za pristup 03.
Da, znači praviš jer onda idemo ovako, idemo oko i onda idemo 3.
Adria 2478, tako.
247, da.
aircraft enters holding over Ajaccio VOR, which is radio navigational system in position reporting point. Let's take a look into chart again. Inbound radial is 247 degrees. After making a direct entry, aircraft flies outbound course of 067 degrees. After 1 minute approximately, aircraft makes a left turn again to catch 247 inbound radial. This shall be followed by outbound radial 247 out of Ajaccio VOR. After making a left procedure turn, marked with the blue line, aircraft would fly towards airport. Final reporting point is Charlie Tango NDB. After that, pilots would execute visual approach to runway 21. This is chart for circle to land or visual approach. Pilots were most probably focused on that procedure, because they were told to expect this kind of approach. Holding pattern is visible on this one also, but its MHA or minimum holding altitude is less outlined. MHA for this holding pattern is 6,800 feet. This is the altitude. Pilots should never descend below until flying in holding pattern, regardless ATC clearances for lower altitude. Napoleon Bonaparte Airport did not have radar at the time, so control was procedural. This type of control relies on accurate position reports and clearances are delivered based on that. Aircraft is now flying in cloud layer. That combined with stronger winds makes this descent pretty turbulent. Crew monitors timing on the outbound leg. After time of approximately 1 minute, Triglav directs it into inbound turn to catch the inbound radial to the Ajaccio VOR. Flight has already passed 6,800 feet, restriction altitude for holding pattern.
We are rolling inbound of 6,000.
Roger 1308, reporter Lynn inbound.
Coming inbound to Ajaccio because at the moment we are clouds.
Roger 1308, report Charlie Tango en finale, surface wind 28020 knots.
Yes. Niske temperature.
Pravilno, znači tamo imamo marker Charlie Tango, sve tamo.
Ovo je Charlie Tango.
Da, to je Charlie Tango, da. Da budeš prvi put u Ajaccio?
Tako molim.
Da, nije si prvi put u Ajaccio.
Da, da.
1308, it as you want, left 10 circle runway 2 on the right 10 circle.
Gas, gas! Gotovo.
Juliet Papa 1308. 1308, Ajaccio approach. Juliet Papa 1308.
1er décembre 1981, sur les pentes du San Pedro, les débris de l'avion sont dispersés sur plusieurs centaines de mètres.
The 1st of December 1981, 8:53. Faiths of Ljubljana and its 180 souls on board are joined forever. Location of their eternal peace. Mount San Pietro. MD-80 hit the top of the mountain with its left wing, followed by crash into the slope over the top of the mountain. Aircraft wreckage remained on the mountain till 2008, when Slovenian authorities finally organized expedition to the crash site. After accident, Triglav's wife told how her husband was preparing for the flight evening before. She remembers him mentioning they will have to fly around the mountain and avoid it. The following morning, he and their son Tomasz left together. Before leaving, son told her he will buy her a gift on the airport. That's when she saw them, for one last time. Preliminary investigation report was completed in 2 years after the accident. The cause of the crash, controlled flight into terrain. Beside descending below prescribed altitude, aircraft was also significantly drifted southeast bounds due to strong winds. Crew also failed to immediately respond to warning systems of the aircraft, possibly due to startle effect. Low visibility and incorrect position perception caused disorientation, which led to late response of the flight crew. Raw calculations showed that less than 1 second earlier response would allow them to overfly the top of the mountain. Regardless of Triglav's son being in the cockpit till the end of recording, this was not stated as a contributing factor. CVR and FDR data showed that crew responded 9 seconds after initial GPWS warning, terrain, terrain. Kunovic responded by calling power, which was followed by pulling controls to full pitch up position.
Gas, gas.
However, it was a second too late.
Wzrok aurok i szlak.